The northern white rhino.
Northern white rhino.
The northern white rhino.
A subspecies of the rhino family is almost extinct.
Imagine standing in front of a giant that has walked this earth for millions of years. A creature so powerful, so majestic, and yet so vulnerable that in just a few decades it could vanish completely. That giant is the white rhino. Once roaming across Africa in massive herds, today they are disappearing faster than most people realize. In 2025, their survival is no longer just about protecting a single species. It's about deciding whether humanity can come together to save one of nature's most extraordinary animals, or whether we will stand by and watch them disappear forever. In this video, we're going to explore why white rhinos are disappearing so quickly. We'll look at the brutal reality of poaching, the creeping threat of habitat loss, and how climate change is making life even harder for these incredible animals. We'll also dive into the numbers, where rhino populations stand right now in 2025, and highlight the efforts being made by conservationists, rangers, and scientists who are fighting to pull this species back from the brink. But more importantly, we'll answer the question everyone wants to know. Is there still hope for the white rhino? Stick with me until the end, because the answer isn't simple, and what's happening to rhinos has a much bigger impact than you might think. A quick look at the white rhino. The white rhino is the second largest land mammal on Earth, only surpassed by the elephant. Adult males can weigh more than 2 tons, heavier than an SUV, and yet they are surprisingly gentle grazers. Unlike the black rhino, which has a hooked lip for browsing bushes, white rhinos have wide, flat mouths designed for grazing grass. They are essentially lawnmowers of the African savanna, shaping entire ecosystems as they feed. But here's the shocking part. Despite their massive size and thick skin, they are defenseless against the modern threats they face. Today, there are around 16,000 southern white rhinos left in the wild. It might sound like a safe number, but rewind just a century and there were hundreds of thousands. Their story isn't just about natural decline, it's about human greed, human expansion, and human destruction. The biggest threat, poaching. If we had to point to one single reason for the rapid disappearance of rhinos, it would be poaching. Rhinos are hunted almost exclusively for their horns, which ironically are made of the same substance as our fingernails, keratin. Yet in certain parts of Asia, rhino horn is falsely believed to hold healing powers or is used as a symbol of wealth and status. This demand fuels an illegal black market worth billions of dollars. In South Africa, which holds the largest population of white rhinos, poaching reached a peak where more than 1,000 rhinos were killed every year. Imagine that, 3 rhinos gone every single day just for their horns. While anti-poaching efforts have slightly reduced those numbers, the killings have not stopped. Armed gangs, sophisticated trafficking networks, and corruption continue to drive rhinos toward extinction. And every time a rhino falls, we aren't just losing one animal, we're losing future generations, because each rhino lost is also a genetic loss for the species. Habitat loss and climate change. Poaching is not the only killer. Even when rhinos aren't directly hunted, they are still losing their homes. Expanding farmland, mining projects, and growing cities are swallowing up the savannas that rhinos depend on. As human populations grow, protected spaces for wildlife shrink. Climate change makes matters worse. Southern Africa has been facing more frequent droughts. And when water sources dry up, rhinos must travel further and compete harder to survive. Grasslands turn to dust, and weaker individuals often don't make it. White rhinos, once thriving in vast open landscapes, are now squeezed into smaller, fragmented areas where survival becomes a daily struggle. So it's not just the bullets from poachers that are killing them, it's the silent destruction of their world. Northern versus southern white rhinos. It's important to understand that there are actually 2 subspecies of white rhinos. The southern white rhino, which still has around 16,000 individuals, and the northern white rhino, which is functionally extinct. Only 2 northern white rhinos remain alive today, Najin and Fatu, both females living under 24-hour armed protection in Kenya. Without males, they cannot reproduce naturally. Scientists are desperately trying advanced techniques like IVF and stem cell cloning to save the subspecies. But it's a race against time. This heartbreaking reality shows us exactly what can happen if we fail to protect the southern white rhino. Today, the northern subspecies exists only as a cautionary tale, and the southern could easily follow if we don't act quickly. Conservation efforts. But not all hope is lost. Across Africa, thousands of people are dedicating their lives to protect rhinos. Rangers risk their lives every single day, patrolling dangerous territories to guard against poachers. Conservation organizations use advanced technology, drones, satellite tracking, and GPS collars to monitor rhino movements and prevent illegal hunting. Some reserves even resort to dehorning rhinos, a controversial but sometimes necessary measure to make them less attractive to poachers. And there are success stories. In the early 1900s, southern white rhinos were thought to be nearly extinct, with fewer than 100 individuals left. Thanks to conservation and careful breeding programs, their population rebounded to tens of thousands in the decades that followed. That comeback is one of the greatest wildlife recovery stories ever told, and it proves that with enough effort, rhinos can be saved again. Why rhinos matter? So why should we care about rhinos? Beyond their sheer beauty and presence, they play a crucial role in the environment. As grazers, they maintain grasslands that countless other species depend on. Without rhinos, these ecosystems would change dramatically. There's also the human side. Rhinos are a cornerstone of ecotourism in Africa. People from around the world travel to see them, and that tourism supports jobs, schools, and entire communities. When rhinos disappear, people suffer too. Protecting them isn't just about saving an animal, it's about sustaining an entire way of life, the future of white rhinos in 2025. So where do things stand right now in 2025? The picture is mixed. Some areas, like large protected reserves, have managed to stabilize populations, even seeing slight increases. But in smaller, less protected areas, poaching continues to take a devastating toll. Conservation groups warn that without stronger laws, more funding, and more international cooperation, the southern white rhino could follow the northern subspecies into extinction. We are standing at a crossroads. The choices we make today will determine whether the white rhino becomes another tragic story of extinction or whether it becomes one of the greatest comeback stories of our time. White rhinos are disappearing fast, but their story isn't finished yet. Whether they survive or vanish depends on the actions of people like us, ordinary people who choose to care. Awareness is the first step, and by watching this video, you've already taken that step. If you want to help, here's what you can do right now. Share this video so more people know what's happening. Support organizations like Save the Rhino and the WWF that are working directly on the ground. And most importantly, never buy or support products made from wildlife parts, because demand fuels destruction. If you found this video meaningful, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss future updates. The more voices we raise together, the louder we can be for animals that cannot speak for themselves. Let's make sure that future generations don't just read about rhinos in history books. They get to see them walking proudly across the savannah, just as nature intended.